What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. And today we're talking the March 15, 2021 edition of Raw Talk. So, as we found out last week, Kevin Patrick is now replacing Charlie Caruso as the lead host of the show. I don't think Charlie has posted any update on her whereabouts or why she was removed from the show or when she's coming back. I don't think she was on Raw this week. I skipped around the show, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't on. Kevin was announced as replacing her as the lead interviewer for Raw anyway, so I'm not really sure what role she would have on these shows when she does come back. I'm not exactly sure, but I do know this: he has done a great job so far. He's definitely a bit of an awkward person, but not in like a bad way, and I think the chemistry he's had so far with R-Truth and really kind of taking everything that Truth throws out there, so to speak, and kind of just bouncing off of it. He's done a really good job of that so far, and I've enjoyed their chemistry. And he's just far better in this role, in my opinion, than Charlie Caruso. So I'm really glad he's now the new host of the show. But to kick off the episode, they discuss R-Truth recapturing the 24/7 championship on Raw this past week, which saw him just gifted the title by Bad Bunny. And Bad Bunny's been all over Raw for the last 2 months now. He seems pretty game. It looks like they're setting up a WrestleMania match with Damian Priest and Bad Bunny against The Miz and Morrison. I don't know why they would take the title off of him now and they wouldn't just have him walk into WrestleMania with it or have him get pinned. I mean, the guy, again, seemed he was game to take a fucking guitar shot later on in the show, so I'm not really sure why he would just give away the title to R-Truth. But nonetheless, though, they also preview Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, which was announced in anticlimactic fashion at the beginning of Raw this week for WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. They just kind of said, oh, McIntyre is facing Bobby for the title. No fanfare, no formal announcement. Lashley just kind of, it was like a passing comment in the promo. And maybe they announced it on Twitter or made this big graphic about it at the beginning of the show. And even then, I think that was disappointing. So that was incredibly random. They recapped the rest of Raw involving McIntyre beating Miz and the Alexa Bliss, Randy Orton stuff, which will culminate apparently in a match on the pay-per-view on Sunday. They just got to bring back The Fiend at this point. I like the story for the most part. I'm definitely in the minority of people who have said that. But by this point, it's just dragging on. They've really got to get to the next chapter here. And they also mentioned before they welcome on their first guests that Truth is now a 51-time 24/7 champion over the last 2 years since they first introduced that title in May of 2019, which is fucking ridiculous. But at any rate, they welcome on The Miz and John Morrison. The Miz says that he wasn't ready for Bobby Lashley 2 weeks ago when he defended the championship twice in one night, almost 3 times actually. The first time the match wasn't official and he was sick or his stomach hurt or whatever. The second time he ran away. The third time he got beaten 3 minutes in the lumberjack match. He also said he wasn't ready for Lashley last week when he beat the shit out of him and it was announced at the last minute, blah, blah, blah. He actually makes the case that it should be a triple threat at WrestleMania, and I almost started laughing my ass off at that point, that it should be Drew, Lashley, and Miz for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. And that's coming off the ass-kicking he took on Monday from Drew McIntyre. So, thankfully, that is not going to happen. It's going to be Drew and Bobby one-on-one. But he and John Morrison, who was also with Miz here on Raw Talk, they make fun of Kevin's accent and Truth winning the championship, which he didn't. Bad Bunny just kind of gave it to him. And that was their segue to trash Bad Bunny. And he's like, oh, I'm glad you respect this business, but this is our world. Don't come in here and make a mockery of what we do, blah, blah, blah. Clearly setting the stage for a tag team match of Mania with Miz and Morrison against Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, which it is what it is. Bad Bunny's done so well so far, aside from not losing formally the championship to Truth, which was weird. But this is a great use, I think, of Damian Priest, and it's a cool, notable match for him to be involved in on his first WrestleMania, which is pretty sweet. So anyway, they then welcome on Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, who say that it's their time now to become the women's tag team champions. They beat Naomi and Lana, the former number 1 contenders, on Monday night. They're making their case for why they deserve and why they should be next in line for a women's tag team title opportunity. They also bring up how they're the perfect team, they do everything together, and really Dana Brooke brings that up more so than Mandy. And I just can't bring myself to care at all, to be completely honest with you. I like Mandy Rose a lot. Dana Brooke does absolutely nothing for me, specifically in the babyface role. She's not awful, but as a character, she's not interesting. She's very bland. She's not all that good in the ring. And the tag team just sucks. It feels like a massive waste of Mandy Rose. So, tag team title shot or no tag team title shot, I really could give 2 shits. But yeah, they talk about that and how Dana's also setting her sights right now in the Raw Women's Championship. She mentioned that last week. fucking God, no. No thanks. But then Dana and Mandy bring up how they want to inspire people, specifically young girls, all this other stuff, before talking about how a WrestleMania moment to them would mean the world. And they've both been at WrestleMania before in battle royals and shit like that, but not in like a formal match, such as this one. That would be pitting them against Nia and Shayna, which, God help me if that happens, who cares? But the last person they welcome onto the show is Drew McIntyre, who recaps really what happened at the end of the show. That saw Bobby Lashley and Sheamus beat the shit out of each other, and Bobby went over in decisive fashion, and then he hit Bobby with a Claymore, saying, hey, if you step up to me, you start talking trash, all it takes is one Claymore at WrestleMania for me to win back that WWE Championship. And talking about speaking the crap out of each other, talking about beating the crap out of each other, he mentions how he and Sheamus are going to beat the crap out of each other on Sunday at Fastlane, in a match, as of right now, that has no stipulation, which to me makes absolutely no sense. They had a regular match on Raw 2 weeks ago. That was fantastic. The rematch was also really good. That was no DQ. And now, because of that, they're going back to a singles match. Like, I'm not a big last man standing match person, but I've seen other people say this. Why isn't it a last man standing match? Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Maybe they'll go back to it after WrestleMania. I don't know. But then Drew recaps his history with Sheamus and how, you know, when Sheamus was on his way up, and how also they won their first championships in WWE on the same night in TLC 2009, and everything leading up to that point as well, being in FCW together, how when Sheamus' career went up, his went down, and he left WWE, and then when Drew came back, Sheamus' career kind of faltered a little bit, and now Drew has all the big success, and now the big brother got jealous, is what Drew was saying about Sheamus, and come Fastlane, he's going to put him in his place. And obviously, he's upset about Sheamus betraying him and all this other stuff. But come Fastlane, he's going to put this feud to rest once and for all. And, you know, they also bring up one last thing about how when he won the WWE Championship last year at WrestleMania, there were no fans. This year, there will be. I mean, the tickets aren't on sale today as originally advertised. But other than that, it looks like there will be fans at WrestleMania this year. Drew, his original plan was to defend the championship every month at every pay-per-view, walk out still champion, and then walk into WrestleMania 37 a year later as the WWE champion. Obviously, that won't be the case. He'll be walking in as the challenger, but he wants to get his moment that he was robbed of last year and winning that championship back or defending it or whatever. And he's had a few hiccups in losing it to Randy Orton for 3 weeks late last year and then losing it to Miz due to the Money in the Bank cash-in, due to Bobby Lashley. But no, he's hoping to get his moment at WrestleMania, and it's going to be awesome. So, this I thought was a decent episode of Raw Talk. The Mandy and Dana Brooke stuff was completely forgettable, but Miz showed some good fire. They were back and forth with R-Truth, and Kevin Patrick was good. Sheamus, or rather Drew, I thought was great here. Showed awesome fire. So the show has been, for the last 2 weeks anyway, noticeably better. Not must-see by any means, but noticeably better without Charlie Caruso and Kevin Patrick filling in for Truth instead. He's by far, he's far from, not a complete natural, but, he's far from perfect right now. But I think he's improving at a rapid rate, and he's, it's cool. It's cool to see him in the role, and I think he's done very well, and he's made the show easier to watch the last 2 weeks, which is nice. But check out the March 15, 2021 edition of Raw Talk right now on the WWE Network. And all the WWE Network stuff, I'm not sure. I heard Raw Talk will be on Peacock once they move over here in the U.S. in a couple weeks. Talking Smack, I have no idea. I don't know about NXT UK and 205 Live and all that other shit. I have no clue. It's a fucking mess right now, I will tell you that much. All the classic content is going away for right now for people here in the U.S. It is terrible. So hopefully they can get their shit together in the next couple of months, and they can have all that stuff up and running on Peacock here in the U.S. in no time. But be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel rather for more daily content, including hitting that bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Always appreciate it. Have a great week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.